What's up guys, Marco here, back with another video finally after, not really posting too much lately. Bunch of things happened, got a new car, got a new office that I will probably make a video about in the near future as well. You can see it here, right here's the window and very empty at this point, so not that much to show yet. But a lot of things happened, a lot of things changed. And I decided that before the year ends, I want to come up with like 1-2 more videos for you guys. And today I have something fairly special for you because I want to show you my sort of big learnings or big ideas or something that may help you grow your sales with Google Ads in 2020. So you see here my dashboard of the clients that are actually attached to my manager account at this point in time. And we see here around 2.8 million euros in sales for 2019. Now that's around $3.2 million. And what I have to say here, of course, is that this doesn't include people that I coach or that I advise, right? So these are people that I manage. And of course, there are way more like students and people that I do consulting with that are also generating millions and millions of dollars in combined revenue. Plus, of course, this doesn't take into consideration clients that I've worked with before that are now not attached to my manager account anymore. So when we take them into consideration as well, there were easily a few extra $1 million in sales right here, but the ones I'm currently attached to, that's what our number looks like. We see here that the cost is around 580,000 euros, which means we are looking at an average sort of return on ad spend of around like 4, right? We have some accounts doing really well, like 6, 7, 8, 9x ROAS on a regular basis. Others are not that good yet, but all in all, you see here the average is actually pretty solid. And when we look at the account level, we see here all kind of accounts that I'm linked to, 25,000 conversions here, 8,000, 5,000, 3,000, all that kind of stuff. Fairly big ad spends here and there. Others are still fairly small. So I'm attached to mostly sort of medium-sized accounts at the moment, with a few ones that are actually spending more, especially considering that they also spend on Facebook, etc. So in this video, I want to give you like some high-level strategic points and things that I found extremely helpful and basically with having an extremely big impact on these accounts here in 2019 so far. And these are mainly sort of higher level things, right? So it's not about making this little tweak to this campaign that will produce that result. I want to really give you, because I have to sum it up, of course, I cannot go in detail on a full year. So I want to highlight sort of my key points that you can implement in your e-commerce business for your Google Ads right away. And that will shortly or most likely have a pretty big impact and pretty positive impact in your account. So let's start with the first point, and this is something that I see a lot. So when you start running ads for your products, for example with Google Shopping, you always see that a lot of these products are actually not getting any traction at all, right? So you have a lot of products not getting impressions, not getting clicks. And the problem here is that these products will never truly be tested. So when you have a typical shopping campaign, let's say with 50 products in it, you have like 3, 4, 5 products getting a lot of clicks and impressions, and all the rest is like getting 1, 2, 3, something like that. So the first point is test products that didn't get attention yet in their own smart or normal shopping campaign. That's extremely important. Let's say you have a campaign that is producing good results, but the majority of products have never been tested. You should create a new campaign where you only put these products in. So for example, I like to check all the products that got less than, for example, 5 clicks, right? Or if possible, even take those that got 0 clicks at this point. When you run this new campaign with only those products, now you run like a second, way more sort of meaningful test, because you don't know if there is a winner somewhere. You don't know if there is a product that would be doing very well once you start using it, and it just hasn't been tested yet. Now, you shouldn't do that forever. You shouldn't run like 100 campaigns to test every single product, because not all products will be winners. That's also very obvious. But if you are not doing this at all, then you're only focused on like 3, 5, 10 products all the time. Make sure you do that. We have found a lot of winners that way that haven't been picked up by Google initially. And once we run these sort of campaigns, we were able to generate a second, a third, a fifth, a 10th winner. So do that. You can do this both with Smart or with normal shopping. I recommend to try both, and that way you will definitely find more winners for your campaigns. Then the second point, let me check here on my little notes on the left-hand side, is run smart campaigns, but not only. And what I can also recommend with Smart Shopping is that you should use, anywhere between sort of 20 and 50% of products in the Smart Shopping campaign or in your overall Smart Shopping campaigns. We have accounts, or I work with accounts where Smart Shopping ads are performing so well that 50% of products running on Smart is actually a very, very useful thing. But on the other hand, there are also accounts where they don't work that well. And also the fact that Smart Shopping overrides all other priorities means that you shouldn't run too many products on Smart. So 20 is a good way to get started. Initially, for example, let's say you have 100 products in your store, you test like 80 of them or 50 of them in normal shopping campaigns, let's say in 2 or 3, and at the same time you run one Smart Shopping campaign where you test the other products. So it is very useful to always have at least one Smart Shopping campaign running, because you never know if they work well for your account. Sometimes they do crazily well, so they should always be tested. But not only because you don't get insights in the search terms, because you cannot control anything besides the bid and the bidding strategy and the budget, and you have a lot of restrictions when it comes to Smart. So initially, you should always try to get data, and you can only get data when you run normal shopping campaigns and not Smart. So doing both is extremely helpful. Smart, as I said, will sometimes really overperform everything else, but don't do it only, because then you don't learn anything about your customers, and you will definitely not get the sort of best performance that you could, right? That's extremely important. Then, really, really helpful is start with the lowest bids. And I cannot stress that enough. Like, it sounds super simple, right? Basically, when I work with people, whether these are clients that I manage, people that I coach to grow their sales, to grow their businesses, personally one-on-one, one of the things that I see a lot that could be easily avoided is that people are using bids that are too high. And I get it, sometimes you want to make sure that you get traffic, you want to test things properly, you want to not wait too long. But the thing is, let's say you start your campaign with a $1 bid, and you run this campaign for months, and you spend like $10,000 in this campaign. What happens is that if you are bidding more than necessary, because you are not you cannot scale to $1,000 a day or $500 a day yet, means that you're probably overspending, and you could get the same amount of clicks for like 20 cents less per click or 30 cents. Now, if you spend 10,000, or even if you just spend 1,000 in total, you are, losing anywhere between like 2, 3, 500 all the way up to like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 just because you bid more than necessary. And there is a big exception to this. If you say that you have a massive budget and you just want to scale very, very quickly, this can make sense. But for the normal sort of average store owner with a limited budget, maybe a few hundred all the way up to a few $1,000s, you should always try with the lowest possible bids. Now, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, the worst thing that can happen is that you're not getting clicks that way. So you have to increase it. So you're only losing a little bit of time. But in the beginning, normally it's better to sort of waste a few days rather than spending way too much money on your clicks. And especially if you run on a tight budget, you want to keep every single dollar, and you want to make sure that you're using them in the best possible way. So start with 30 cents, 50 cents, depending on your niche, somewhere like this, rather a bit too low than too high. And when you see that you're barely getting any impressions or not enough and you want more, then go from 50 to 60, from 60 to 70 and things like that. It will be slower, but you will be 100% sure that you're not paying more than necessary. And later on, you can scale. If things are running great, you can of course go from 70 to 90 or something, or to $1, but not initially. That's where you really want to make sure that you're saving money. Then we get to number 4, and that's make sure you are ready for dynamic remarketing from day one. And dynamic remarketing is pretty, it's not that straightforward when it comes to Google Ads and Shopify. So what I recommend is that you use an app that I will link in the description here. It's called Google Ads Retargeting or something by at Nabu on Shopify. It's a great app that just makes sure that your audience is ready for dynamic retargeting. So that's everything that the app does. It costs, I think, $5 or $10 a month, and it's super straightforward. So you probably had this issue before. Dynamic remarketing is not working properly. Yes, you can do it yourself, but it's very tricky, and oftentimes when you set up the code yourself, things are not working 100% fine. So just use this app. The reason why you should do it from day one is obviously that Google will only start collecting visitors through dynamic remarketing from the day you have set it up. So if you are running your ads for like 3 months, and only then you start implementing dynamic remarketing, you cannot really retarget those people that have visited your store in the past 3 months anymore, which is like leaving money on the table, right? So when you watch this video right now, pause this, go to the description, check the link, go to the link, install this very, very cheap app, make sure that you're collecting visitors. You don't have to retarget them immediately, but you have to make sure that you are starting to collect them so that you can basically advertise whenever you want to. And this is very straightforward again, but I worked with a lot of businesses, a lot of campaigns that haven't set this up. And as soon as we did that, we were adding like another 5%, 10%, 20% in sales just by using this properly. So go to the Shopify App Store, download this app, and you will see that this will definitely add performance to your account. All right, then next step is use multi-layer negative keyword lists. So you all know negative keyword lists, right? That block certain traffic from your account. Many people, especially with a general store, there it's like somewhat okay. Use just one big negative keyword list. What you should do, especially if you have a niche store, you should have like multi-layers or multiple negative keyword lists that reflect different sort of stages, different keyword types that you can apply wherever they make the most sense. So one example is that I like to keep one very broad negative keyword list that includes things like, free or cheap or Amazon or things like that are just random keywords that are not relevant for the account. And I apply this negative keyword list to pretty much all the campaigns in the account. But then in the next step, I create negative keyword lists that are specific to certain topics or that sort of represent a certain value of keywords. Let's say you're selling, like, what's a good example? Let's say you're selling golden rings, for example, right? Something like that. Then a typical sort of negative keyword list here would be that you make one sort of highly relevant negative keyword list, or that you make one negative keyword list where search queries are in that are similar to your product but not exactly what you sell. So for example, this sort of specific negative keyword list would include the word ring, so that you're not triggering for a ring only, but only if someone enters golden ring. And if they enter ring, or if they enter, let's say silver ring, you don't want to get this traffic. So you use this negative keyword list to only get the most relevant people to your store. Then you create another negative keyword list where you are a little less strict, where you say, for example, you don't have all these, but you do, for example, want to block people looking for a necklace or a bracelet or something like this, right? So the first negative keyword list blocks traffic that is still somewhat relevant but not 100% relevant. The second negative keyword list blocks people that are still looking for something related to your niche but just not sort of specific enough to what you're really selling. And then what you can do once you have these two negative keyword lists or more, this multi-layer that I mentioned here, you can assign them to the right campaigns. So let's say you have one campaign where you bid quite a lot because that's where you want to get your most important traffic for. You assign both of these negative keyword lists to this one campaign, right? Because that's the one where you only want the best quality traffic possible. Then you have another campaign where you say, okay, I bid a little bit less. I want all kind of search queries. I don't want to be so picky. And there you only assign that negative keyword list, that second one I mentioned, where you use things like necklace, bracelet, etc., etc. So by using this multi-layer, you make sure that in every single campaign, you are bidding exactly the right amount for the value, because obviously with shopping, you cannot define like positive keywords and positive bids on these keywords only on a product level. Using these negative keyword lists in a like layer, multi-layer, multiple of these, make sure that you can indirectly actually bid exactly what you want, more or less for each search query. So doing that will almost guarantee to increase your performance, especially if you are using a niche store. So think about that. If you have any questions about this, because I know this can be a little bit confusing, let me know in the comments, and I will talk a little bit more about that. But this is something that you will definitely need to get the most performance and the best performance possible. And then we have the last point, and this is test product prices. So I also cannot stress that enough. We had accounts, I had accounts that I worked with where literally a price increase from $59.99 to $69.99 produced like another few $1,000s in like weekly sales. Because on the one hand, if a product is performing well, you should test a higher price point. I had so many cases where we kept roughly the same level of sales, but obviously with an extra $5, $10, $20 in margin because we charged more than if we keep everything normal. On the other hand, if something is not working very well, like conversion rate of a product is low or it's not getting sales yet, before you kill that product, reduce the price a little bit. So same thing here, we had so many products that were not working that well. Once we reduced the price, then they were like doubling or tripling in sales. Of course, the margin per sale was a little bit lower, but I would rather sell like 10 products a day at a $5 margin than just selling like one every 2 days at a slightly higher margin, right? Plus, of course, if your conversion rate is much lower because of that higher price, then this means that your advertising costs are also higher to make the sale. So this is very important. If things are going well, test a higher price. If things are not going well, test a lower price. I guarantee that by doing that on a regular basis, you will definitely maximize your bottom line and get more sales and profits to your store, or at least more profits, right? So these were 6 sort of key points that I wanted to bring across for Google Ads, Google Shopping next year. I know that this is sort of very high level, right? But I thought about, okay, what were 6 of the things that had the biggest total impact? And sure, there are like hundreds of details. There are different ways to set up campaigns and something like that. But if I have to come up with a few points that were very helpful now in 2019 so far, things that are fairly easy to implement so that you can just quickly watch this video and use it in your store, but they still have a massive impact, and then it's these sort of 6 things that you should definitely start implementing right away. So if you want to see more content like this, if you want to, learn more about Google Ads and how to use it in your e-commerce business or in your business in general, make sure to subscribe to this video and let me know if you have any questions about this topic here in the comments. If you want to work directly with me, then you should click the link in the description where you find a 1-hour video where I first of all tell you my framework about using Google Ads profitably. So that's like a pure value-packed video, no matter whether you actually decide to work with me afterwards or not. And then you will also get the chance to book a free call with me to find out if I can actually personally help you grow your sales, just as I did with countless clients and students this year. Or, if we're not a good fit, in this case, I would definitely let you know in the call as well. But I'm sure that, if you have a decent business running right now, or if you're getting started, but you really have a good idea, that I can go in and sort of fuel your business to take it to the next level. So with this being said, thanks a lot for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that I will see you next time again. And I also hope that maybe you book a call on my page to find out how we can work together. So with this being said, thanks a lot. I wish you Merry Christmas already, and hope that we will see each other very soon in my next video. Bye-bye.